Welcome back to Brother, Sister, Whatever. Today's episode is Lisa's take, and this one is about pace. Specifically, why I'm choosing slower in a world that constantly praises faster. Somewhere along the way, busy stopped being a circumstance and started being a personality trait. And speed stopped being a tool and became a measure of worth. And I've had to ask myself, when did that happen? But more importantly, what has it cost me? When I think about when I started equating busy with worth, the honest answer is very young. I don't remember a time in my life when there wasn't something that needed to get done that I was responsible for. There was no neutral state. You were either doing what needed to be done and therefore good, or you weren't and therefore not. Not lazy necessarily, not bad in a dramatic way, just not good. And that wiring runs deep. I don't know that faster was explicitly praised, but completion was. Getting everything done, getting through the list, moving on to the next thing. Efficiency became the goal. Even rest wasn't really rest. So, somewhere along the way, being busy became something to brag about. I'm just so busy. I've got so much going on. I don't even know what time it is. I don't even have time to think. And every time I said that, if I'm honest, there was a part of me that felt important, needed, relevant. Busy made me feel like I mattered, like my presence was required. And I don't think that makes me shallow. I think it makes me human. Because when your value has been tied to responsibility for a long time, busyness feels that it's like proof that you're still doing it right. But here's the harder question. What did being busy protect me from? If you're always doing things for other people, if you're always moving, if you're always focused on what's next, you don't have to sit with yourself. You don't have to look too closely at things that you don't want to feel. And if I'm really honest, I think I buried a lot of things in busy: shame, anger, disappointment, feelings that didn't have anywhere safe to land. Busy gave me a place to put them, and for a long time that worked. Until it didn't. I realized busy wasn't sustainable fairly recently, in the last few years. I'd known I was burnt out for a while, but knowing and doing something about it are two different things. What really stood out to me was how rigid I'd become. I'd walk in the door, and instead of saying hi to my husband or my kids, I'd notice the coats. They were in the wrong place, or somebody forgot to hang up their coat on the hook. I'd have to fix those first. And I'd tell myself I just needed to do that one thing before I could relax, but then I'd notice something else. I was getting irritated, not just that the coats weren't where they should be, but that I had to fix it. Why couldn't they just be done already? Why couldn't somebody else just do what they had to do? And at some point, I thought, who wants to live like this? Who wants to walk through their life constantly correcting it? It wasn't discipline anymore, it was exhaustion. So, one of the clearest ways I felt the cost of faster is in my body. I feel broken a lot of time, not in a dramatic way, just worn out. Like the weight of the world is literally sitting on my shoulders. I didn't just feel busy, I felt heavy. And it didn't just show up physically, it showed up emotionally too. My patience got thinner, my reactions quicker, my tolerance lower. Burnout didn't announce itself. It didn't just crash in one big moment. It crept. It slowly became normal. And it's really only been in the last year that I've really started to respond to it. Not just acknowledge it, but listen. So, what did faster actually take from me? I didn't just lose time, I lost being there. And one of the things I'm actively trying to relearn now is enjoyment, joy. And that sounds strange to say out loud, like joy should be automatic, right? But for me, joy can feel overwhelming, unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. Because when you've spent years rushing past your feelings, sitting with any feeling, even a good one, takes practice. I'm learning how to be in joy, how to stay with it, how to not immediately move on to the next thing, how to let it exist, whether it feels comfortable or not. And the more that I practice that, the easier it becomes. Slowing down brings up fear too, a big one: control. When you're busy, you feel in control. You're managing, you're handling, you're keeping things together. Slowing down means letting go of that illusion. It means trusting that things won't fall apart if you're not constantly holding on to them. And that's scary. Not because slow is wrong, but because slow requires trust. I had this realization that really changed how I think about all of this. You know how you can't spot reduce your body, right? You can't pick one area and say, I'm just going to lose weight there. You do the work and your body responds where and how it responds. I think emotions work the same way. You can't selectively numb or rush one feeling without affecting all the others. You don't get to say, I'll just shut out anger and keep joy untouched. When I tried to outrun discomfort, I also outran joy. You don't get to pick which feelings survive. So, for a long time, I lived with a lot of anger and frustration. And it makes sense. I felt silence, I felt held back. I was constantly busy doing things for other people. That anger didn't disappear, it just went underground. And when you suppress something long enough, stepping back into joy feels strange, like a muscle that's been atrophied. It can feel awkward, even painful at first. And the more I use it, the more I slow down and let myself feel it. And the easier it becomes, the more at ease I feel in my own life. That alone is worth choosing slower. I wouldn't trade that for the world. One of the most surprising things about slowing down is how easy it's been to let go of certain habits. Fixing the coats immediately, cleaning the dishes after every meal, needing everything a certain way. When I stopped doing those things, I expected to feel anxious, but instead, I felt fine. And that made me wonder, what was I holding on to that for? What did it give me if it was that easy to release? And I think I think the answer is this. Those habits weren't about order. They were about safety, control, competence, feeling okay. And once I found another way to feel okay, those habits just fell away. I wasn't holding on to tasks, I was holding on to security. Choosing slower doesn't feel like quitting to me. It feels like listening. I'm listening to my body, listening to my energy, listening to the season of life I'm in. Slower feels like sustainability. It feels like presence over performance. It feels like I'm choosing a life I can actually stay in. So, what kind of life do I want to live? When I ask myself that, that question, the key word is live. For a long time, I wasn't living. I was surviving, making it to the next day, the next task, the next person, the next obligation, just getting through. I really don't want that anymore. I want to enjoy my days. I want to experience them. And I've realized that in order to do that, I have to take care of myself. I have to be strong physically, mentally, emotionally, so I can actually show up the way that I want to show up. Choosing slower isn't about doing less, it's about finally being present enough to live. I think part of why choosing slower has surprised me so much is because I really thought by now that I would have learned how to rest. I thought I'd be past equating busy with being valuable. I thought I'd trust myself enough to slow down without guilt. I thought that I'd learned when to stop before my body forced me to. I assumed that with age would come ease, that pacing myself would feel natural by now. What I didn't realize is that unlearning urgency takes just as much effort as learning it did in the first place. I didn't miss the lesson, I just didn't know how deeply it was wired. And slowing down isn't proof that I failed to learn, it's proof that I'm finally paying attention. What I want now isn't a slower life just for the sake of it. I want a sustainable one. I want days that don't feel rushed through. I want space to notice how things feel in my body, in my mind, in my relationships. I want energy that lasts longer than the to do list. So that's what choosing slower looks like for me right now. It's not quitting or giving up, it's not falling behind, but it's listening, adjusting, and living on purpose. Okay, so before I wrap this up, let's do a quick old me versus new me game. Evenings. The old me would probably say, let's get one more thing done. And the new me is sitting down and being present with my family. Household stuff. Old me would probably say everything has to be done now. And the new me is it can wait. Rest. Old me, I have to earn it. The new me, no earning required. Emotions. The old me would probably say push through. And the new me is definitely sit with it. Life pace. Old me, faster is better. The new me, slower is sustainable. And obviously, still practicing all of the above. So if you're craving slower too, you're not alone. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you next time on Brother, Sister, Whatever.